Party line number 4. The multitudes of bacterial and viral strains that cause the common cold and flu are staggering. Each year there are endless new varieties, since these microorganisms are able to mutate and adapt so rapidly. This has been the ongoing dilemma with finding an all-encompassing cure for the common cold and flu, and precisely why flu shots are needed every year. Before each flu season, which begins with the onset of cold weather, our brilliant medical researchers work diligently to isolate the new strains so that vaccines can be provided for the public before the season begins. Thus, research has shown that flu vaccines have greatly decreased the incidence of flu in North America. What a load of malarkey! The medical cartel, using the CDC's political influence, has successfully developed this elaborate and quite profitable witch hunt called the flu season. Part of the reason they are able to do this, a huge part that is, has to deal with the psychological state of our nation in regards to accepting responsibility for their own health and the creation of their own illness. It is so much easier for a people, brainwashed into denial, to accept that they have become invaded by some new microbe that systematically has the power to bring them down. This is precisely why people go running for flu shots each year before the holidays. For all intents and purposes, the wise, educated individual should at least realize the high level of chicanery involved in the language of cold and flu seasons. What the medical cartel has capitalized as cold and flu are nothing more than the body's intent, sometimes extreme, to detoxify. Let's go over some of the myths of this cold and flu season. 1. It's cold outside. The body's resistance to germs is lower in cold weather, which is why people primarily get sick when the weather changes to cold. Actually, part of this is true. The human body is placed under stress during periods of cold weather, and it is important to keep from becoming too chilled while outside. This is especially important for young children and infants. However, cold or warm has nothing to do with resistance to so-called germs. We will discuss this further when we fully take apart the germ theory. For now, just understand that this notion of contagion becoming more communicable in cold weather has no basis in rational science. What does become lower, however, in cold weather is your body's ability to maintain a high threshold for toxicity. When this occurs, you start coughing up, spitting up, and ejecting mucus from every orifice the body can eject accumulated poison from. 2. Beware, the strep throat boogeyman's a-comin'. Strep throat cultures are the biggest scam since pink lemonade. Kids get sore throats. Parents haul them into the pediatrician in fear. The doctor gets a throat culture and gives you a call the next day saying they found streptococcus. Your kid then goes on antibiotics for strep throat, gets better in some weeks, and everyone lives happily ever after. Only if you repeat this exact same scenario, save the sore throat or any thought of illness, you may still have a positive culture for streptococcus. In other words, these streptococcus are there whether or not you get the diagnosis of strep throat. These cultures and the diagnosis are virtually meaningless. Now repeat the same scenario with a suspected illness and take out the antibiotics. The recovery time for your child will most likely be shorter, if not the same. Antibiotics should rarely be taken by anyone, especially children. They are highly toxic to children and should only be given to anyone during a life-threatening crisis where detoxification runs out of control. Parents should understand that during the cold weather months, children and adults will get sore throats primarily due to dry, cold weather and dry, warm, forced air indoor heating environments. These two things dry up the otherwise moist mucous membranes of the nasal and throat passages, called the nasopharynx, causing them to crack just enough to enhance irritation. The microbes found around these cracked and dry throat membranes are simply there doing the job God created them to do, eating up toxic waste buildup. The microbes' metabolism of your body's garbage, now found in these cracked and dry throat membranes, are what cause the sore throat feeling. The culprit, however, is not the microbe. It is the level of toxicity you have in your own bloodstream that now has the chance to ooze out.